This is Adrian Mason of NFL Blogging, Adrian Mason Style, and you're watching my analysis/pick of the Baltimore Ravens versus the Denver Broncos, a rematch of last year's AFC Divisional Playoff matchup. Guess what's back? Back again. Football's back. Tell a friend. Guess what's back? Yeah, you get it. You get it. You know what I'm talking about. Tomorrow, because this recording, Wednesday, September 4th, is when this recording is actually happening. But tomorrow, September 5th, Thursday night to be exact, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm not going to get into the other time zones because if you know your time zone, you know what time the game is on. But tomorrow night, we officially kick off the 2013 NFL regular season. And what better way to do it than with the rematch of one of the best playoff games in recent memory. The defending Super Bowl champion Baltimore Ravens travel back to Mile High Stadium to take on Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos. Now, I know you all remember what happened in this game, or more importantly, the last, minute in regulation and then the double overtime events that occurred. If you don't, let us rehash a wee bit. Flacco flings a bomb. Raheem Moore, safety for the Broncos, plays it all wrong, plays it poorly, too far up, lets Jacoby Jones get behind him, which I don't know if anybody's privy to the position of safety in football, especially free. You don't let receivers get behind you, which in this case Raheem Moore did. Jacoby Jones catches the ball, touchdown, tie game, and it's a tie game. However, John Fox decides that he wants to play it conservative and have Peyton Manning take a knee, send it into overtime. Nothing happened in the first overtime. Nothing was happening in the second overtime until Peyton Manning decides to go full Brett Favre and throw a pass across his body, which is a serious no-no, and it gets picked off, which leads to the Ravens trotting out Justin Tucker to kick the game-winning field goal to send them to New England, which they would win there, and send them to the Super Bowl, which they would beat the San Francisco 49ers to win their second Super Bowl. A lot of storyline development in this game already. It hadn't even started yet, but you know that game itself, from the last postseason, from in January, that game itself laid the foundation, the groundwork, basically, to what should be a really, really amazing contest between two teams. One defending their crown right now in Baltimore, the other looking to basically get the sour taste of how their season ended out of their mouths. So now that I've given the backdrop, which if you hadn't already known, you're just now watching football, shame on you, but hey, glad you're a new fan. But I'm going to go ahead and break down the two teams, how they stack up, how they match up, and who is my pick. Man, it feels good to say that, man. You just don't understand. I've been waiting for months on end, ever since the Super Bowl ended, ever since the NFL draft ended, going through months and months and months of waiting. After training camps and preseason, we are officially here. NFL Blogging, Adrian Mason Style is back, and I'm here to give my picks and predictions over who is going to win between the Baltimore Ravens and the Denver Broncos. So without further ado, let's go. Let's start with Baltimore, the defending Super Bowl champs, as I said. It's going to be a new look Baltimore Ravens because we all know the epitome of the Baltimore Ravens, the heart and soul, the man for Baltimore. Ray Lewis got his ring, went off into the sunset. He is officially retired. Ed Reed, they finally got him a ring, but he wanted to play ball some more, and they didn't want to pay him anymore in Baltimore, so he's now a Houston Texan. Not to mention, Paul Kruger's gone. They've lost a lot of... Matter of fact, Anquan Bolden. They let him go to San Francisco for a 6th-round pick. But out of all that, I think the biggest news for Baltimore was the contract Joe Flacco got. Heck, he was pining for a bigger contract. He felt he was a top 5 QB. Easy way to prove that, win the Super Bowl, which he did. So now he's sitting on $120 million, which, is big money, but he is the signal caller, the franchise man of that team. And they won a Super Bowl with him as the starting QB. And come to realize, under Harbaugh and Flacco, ever since Flacco was drafted in 2008, they've never missed the playoffs. And they've won a playoff game every year since he's been the starter. So he's actually built his resume. Now, you can say, well, it's because of the defense or whatever, but somebody's got to sling the rock. So he's sitting in the $100 million QB club. There's another QB that's sitting there, which I'll get into that during my picks for the rest of week 1. But he got paid. Unfortunately, the Baltimore Ravens almost look like the Florida Marlins after they won their World Series, because there was some serious disbandment. Disbandment. That's not a word. Forgive me, folks. The team was split up. Retirement or free agency basically took that team apart. And that's pretty much what's going on in Baltimore. Not to mention, they had a serious injury occur to one of their top players, one of Flacco's big playmakers, security blankets, and Dennis Pitta. He gets hurt. He hurts his hip, so he's done. So in the process, they bring in veteran tight end who was coincidentally Peyton Manning's favorite target in Indianapolis, Dallas Clark. So you got a new look Ravens offense. Matter of fact, outside of Torrey Smith, there's going to be some new receivers that are going to have to step up because Bolden's no longer there. And you got to remember, while Bolden wasn't the speedster, the game breaker, when it came to making those massively tough catches, and if you watch the Super Bowl, you know what I'm talking about, he was the man. But now he's on the West Coast, so the big question is for Baltimore, receiver-wise, outside of Torrey Smith, who's going to step up? Now, they already have Ray Rice, who's one of the top backs in the league, top 10 running backs in the league. He can do it on the ground, basically some swing passes. He'll make you miss in wide open spaces. He's a little bowling ball. So Flacco, Ray Rice, that's known. Defensively, they still have Haloti Ngata controlling the front. They still have Terrell Suggs. And they picked up Matt Elam from Florida, a hard-hitting safety. And I'm going to tell you this right now. With all that turnover at Baltimore, that front office is one of the best in the National Football League. I'm talking Pittsburgh's front office, New England's front office, the Giants' front office, Baltimore's front office, and slowly but surely, San Fran and Seattle's front office. But established-wise, the first 4 teams that I mentioned, best in the game. Ozzie Newsome is a scouting genius. And you know you build a winning franchise when you have a general manager that knows what he's doing. Hello, Dallas. But having said all that, they're going to have a chance to they're not going to be out of the mix. Do I think that they have a shot of defending their crown? Of course, everybody has a shot. Will they? I'm leaning towards no. But that's not to say that they can't make a run again. You know, they're not going to be the Florida Marlins where after they win the World Series, they win like 60 games out of 162, or you know, I don't see the Ravens going 6-10 or 7-9. You know, I don't see them doing that. It's going to be very difficult for them to get back to that mountaintop like they did last season, and a lot of breaks had to happen for them to get there. The aforementioned Raheem Moore gaffe in the Peyton Manning interception. So Baltimore's got his work cut out for him, no doubt. But knowing that head coach, knowing that front office, and the pieces that they still have, they'll still be in it. And that's my take on Baltimore. So now we're going to talk about their opponent, the Denver Broncos. Now, of course, we all know about the Denver Broncos. We know that they won the Peyton Manning sweepstakes, brought him in, $96 million. You know, this was the QB after dealing with the likes of Tim Tebow and Kyle Orton, the Josh McDaniel era. They brought in a massive fish, not a big fish. I mean, they pretty much brought in a whale and a fishbowl in this case. Peyton Manning, this is one of the all-time great QBs, one of the top QBs of my generation. Actually, well, yeah, I mean, one half of my generation, the other half. You know what I mean. Peyton Manning is the man. So they bring him in, And all they do was go 13-3. He had Demaryius Thomas, who was actually, given the QB that he had before Peyton, wasn't a bad receiver. Peyton, of course, has the amazing ability to elevate receivers. You've seen what he did with the likes of Dallas Clark. You've seen what he did with the likes of Austin Collie, Pierre Garcon, Jacob Tamme. I mean, he just took guys that you wouldn't even think of would be names in the National Football League. If Peyton was slinging on the rock, you knew who they were. So Peyton had Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, two big receivers on the outside. You know, he had his old running buddy in Brandon Stokely. And then, of course, you know, that defense with Defensive Rookie of the Year, Von Miller, Elvis Dumerville, you know, Champ Bailey, and all of a sudden, you know, they were world beaters almost. AFC-wise, I mean, they play in the AFC West, which is the tin can division of the National Football League. Funny thing was, a couple seasons ago, it was the NFC West. That was the garbage can and tin can, etc. But, of course, you know, you play who's on the schedule and you beat them, and that's exactly what they did. And then the postseason happened. And then a little known factoid that was Peyton Manning's kryptonite happened. Peyton Manning has a terrible postseason record whenever he plays outdoors and the temperature is below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. He plays in Denver, Mile High Stadium, excuse me. It gets cold in January. And sure enough, that Peyton Manning showed up. Not to mention, Champ Bailey's age showed up. Because Torrey Smith looked like he was just out there playing 7-on-7. Torrey Smith torched, fried, cooked, roasted, anything that you could put a flame to. He did this to Champ Bailey. He abused the hell out of Champ Bailey. And Champ Bailey's one of the top cornerbacks in the National Football League. I mean, this ain't, you know, he wasn't sitting here cooking some 6th-round rookie. This is Champ freaking Bailey, and I mean, he abused the hell out of him. So, outside of that, Champ Bailey is still one of the top defensive backs in the National Football League. Now, I mentioned Von Miller, but the thing is, the Broncos are going to have to see what life was like without him for about 6 weeks. There you go, 6. There we go, see? 6 weeks. Idiot. Substance abuse violations, multiple, and that's just my phone notification going off, so pardon me there. But Von Miller is going to be without, the Denver Broncos are going to be without the services of Von Miller for 6 weeks. Oh, and then there was that one thing that happened before all of the Von Miller stuff happened, where before free agency started, or right around the time free agency started, let's just say front office idiot plus sending a fax too late equals Elvis Dumerville in Baltimore. Yes, that's right. I totally forgot to mention that about the Baltimore Ravens. They have Elvis Dumerville on their defensive side now. Yes, there was a gaffe with sending a fax a little too late, which officially made Elvis Dumerville a free agent, which meant that the Baltimore Ravens could snatch him up, no problem, and they did. So now you have this storyline between the Raheem Moore gaffe, the Peyton Manning gaffe, the Broncos front office fax gaffe. I mean, it's just all of it ties together in this game. It's so brilliant. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. There's a game before the game. You know what I mean? Hopefully, the game is actually able to meet or exceed the storyline that I just laid out for my viewers out there. So, but outside of that, Peyton Manning has Demaryius Thomas. He has Eric Decker. He has, like I said, Brandon Stokely. Matter of fact, he also has Tom Brady's ex-BFF / check down superhero and Wes Welker. That's right. Wes Welker went from one elite QB in Tom Brady to another elite QB in Peyton Manning because the Patriots felt like they didn't want to pay him all that big money like he was asking for. So he went ahead and took his services to the Mile High City. So now Peyton Manning has Tom Brady's BFF, or former BFF. Mr. Can't catch a pass when needed to in the Super Bowl. But still a dangerous slot receiver if he can get his hands on the ball. So, not to mention they drafted Monty Ball. So, the main thing is about a Peyton Manning offense. Not since the days of him with Edgerrin James has there ever been a Peyton Manning offense where there was a stout running game. Ever. Go back. Seriously. Go back and look at it. Outside of Edgerrin James. I mean, they brought it like when he was with the Colts, Joseph Adai, Dominic Rhodes. No. With the Broncos, no Sean, Moreno. You know, Ronnie Hillman. Willis McGahee, who is sad that he's not employed in the National Football League right now, but I mean, that was their running game. That was the running game with Peyton Manning. So they're hoping that Monty Ball can actually bring some sort of run game to the Broncos like they did when they had Shanahan. If they can bring half of that and let Peyton do his thing and be the general, yeah, the Broncos are going to be AFC Super Bowl contenders straight up. I mean, they already are. I mean, no team goes 13-3 and not considered a contender. So that's the Broncos right now that I can think of at the moment. So having said all that, I guess it's time for me to pick who I think will win this game. Given that this is a revenge game, and given how much turnover Baltimore actually had to deal with, and given that, like I said, it's a revenge game for Denver, they want nothing more than to at least extract some form of revenge. It's not going to get them into the Super Bowl by winning this game this week, but I am picking the Broncos. They are at home. It's a warmer climate. And outside of Doomerville and Von Miller, which are two key defensive cogs that Denver had. Of course, Doomerville's with Baltimore, but Von Miller's out for 6 weeks due to suspension. I still see Peyton Manning in that offense being able to win this one, to eke this one out. And I say by a score of 24-20. I have the Broncos 24-20. Baltimore, you know, they'll still lean heavily on Ray Rice. But I think the fact that it's only Torrey Smith on the outside, they don't have Pitta, they don't have Anquan Bolden, it's going to be real difficult for Flacco to really get uncorked in this game. And I really think that Denver actually gets their revenge. So I'm picking the Broncos 24-20 in our inaugural kickoff game for the 2013 NFL season. So there you have it, folks. That's my pick. And I'm glad to be back. And I hope you that have paid attention to my blog when it first came out, which was last season, I hope you guys enjoyed some more. To my brand new viewers, thank you. Thank you for paying attention or just coming to my blog in general, reading what I had to post and watching the videos that I put up. And like I told my first viewers, and I'll tell you, I'm working to make it better, working to make it more interactive, more fun. And like I said, this is my second season. This is my second year running this blog. So obviously I have a lot more that I'd love to do with this blog. So stay tuned. And of course, I'll be back. More than likely, I'll be back Saturday to do a video to give my picks for the rest of the inaugural week's action, all the Sunday day games, the late games, the Sunday night game between the Cowboys and Giants, and then, of course, the Monday night games between the Eagles and Redskins and the San Diego Chargers and the Houston Texans. So I'll be back in a few days. Other than that, hope you guys enjoy tomorrow's action, and welcome back, football. Adrian Mason, out.